Hi, hello, and welcome back to Ever So. I'm Ever, and this will be the reading of a fic titled The Room. It echoes clear with words we choose not to hear. I finally say that I am not okay, by Regina Dragonis on AO3. It's in the Percy Jackson fandom, more specific, the post-Trials of Apollo. Anyway, summary. After his trials, after he's readjusted to godhood, after he's met with all his friends, after everything he can possibly think of, he finally gets up the nerve to tackle the greatest task yet. Visiting his mom. Not for a birthday or even Mother's Day, no, just because he hadn't talked to his mom in so long. He was trying to be a better person, and that probably started with being a better son. After all, it was definitely Apollo who was the problem. Chapter 1. Apollo stood in front of the mirror and wrinkled his nose. His eyes looked exhausted, and his posture was defeated. The past week, month, year, decade, honestly, had worn on him more and more every moment. He longed to do nothing but rest for just a moment, but he knew he couldn't. He had someone he needed to see, and he couldn't manage it just yet, because he was experiencing a fashion disaster. The overwords he had worn during his previous hangout with Meg had seemed shoddy in front of the unforgiving lights of his vanity, so he had overcorrected, and the sparkling gown was too cheesy and presumptuous as well as too stiff, so he quickly moved on from that one. The crop top with 2 smiling suns and miniskirt was too revealing, he decided, while the cheerful high-necked sweater and high-waisted jeans were not revealing enough. The next outfit was too grunge, the next one after that was too punk, and the little Leto dress was even more punk, if in a different way. Apollo liked to wear his clothes with personality, but every outfit he tried on himself manually, because he found doing this with his bare hands to be grounding these days. Had far too much personality. He didn't want to mess this up by going overboard, the way he always did. No, the checkered dress and striped leggings were too bold, too bland, and too overwhelming. No, the Hawaiian shirt and the booty shorts were, again, too revealing, and not to mention far too casual. Like he didn't care, which wasn't what was he going for at all. Definitely not. The suit was too formal, and the bell-bottoms jeans weren't fashionable enough. Hysterically, he gave the passing thought of just going in the nude more consideration than he ever should. Just for the sake of it, he went through a beautiful gothic dress, a cyberpunk outfit, a glimmery gold slip, and a maid outfit to top it off before he remembered he wasn't just having fun, dressing up and accessorizing. No. By this point, he gave in, and began simply snapping on and off outfits, cycling through randomly. He went through the Victorian era twice by accident. Modern dancing outfit, sweatband and sweatshirt, the Norse clothing he had gotten from Friar, a cosplay elf, a Renaissance dress, a zoot suit, more, anything that could be feasibly be worn in this frenzy. Jeans, skinny jeans were too bland, baggy jeans were too sloppy, and flare jeans were shabby. High-waisted and low-rise alike got thrown across his throne. And then he settled on it. It was perfect. A shirt, a puffy jacket, combat boots, and articulately ripped jeans. He felt comfortable, confident, and he knew he looked fabulous. He looked just like Artemis. No! He was not going to show up dressed like he was copying the style his twin had been wearing for over a decade. Apollo flashed himself into pajamas and sat on the ground, tugging at his hair and groaning. That was it. He couldn't handle it anymore. He fumbled with one hand to pull out his phone, conveniently in his pajama pocket, and punched in the number without bothering to open his eyes. Why, I thought you'll never call. The voice poured through, velvety and smooth and not at all affected by the speaker, just like he'd asked Hephaestus to ensure. I do. Apollo whined, holding the E for far longer than explicitly necessary, but exactly how much he felt this situation warranted. I see. And indeed, Aphrodite sounded like she did. Can't find an outfit. Oh, hon, okay. Here's what we're going to do. You will tell me what you're dressing for, and I will give you some options, okay? Take a deep breath, love. Date is here. It's officially Pfizer's crisis averted. One of these days, he was going to ask to see the list she claimed to have, which supposedly ranked his different wines and their causes. Because this was uncanny, and went beyond her just being able to sense fashion in the distress over in this area. He freed his other hand to gesture widely as he spoke. Informal, but not sloppy, not stuffy, but not sexy, not flashy or hyper-specific or cliché, but not boring either. Dressy casual. Her voice was dry, in a way she rarely allowed it to be when not in private with him. Yes, he admitted, wielding and releasing the tension he had on his closed eyes. Lovely, she cheered. Let's try something on and we'll see how you like it, okay? Please, he begged, finally opening his eyes and as he stood up and turned his phone on speaker. Let's give you some shape. White like leggings with slits? Drop the slit and we'll see, Apollo considered, flipping through a few options. Too revealing. Well, alright. If we have to cover that perfect figure of yours up. A part of Apollo preened that she had accepted his lesser flap as perfect. The rest of him remembered that all bodies were beautiful when they were in the forced change. The moment he indicated he liked this form was the instant he was confident in it, and the instant Aphrodite fell in love with it. She would back him all the way, just like she always had. Palazzos now cargo? Definitely not. I decided I hate all jeans, Tighty, he complained. Sure, Han. As if you won't be wearing them the next time I see you. Or at least the time after that, she teased. Sue him. Jeans were versatile. White-legged leggings look sloppy, he grumbled after trying a few variations. And flared ones aren't much better. How about sailor pants? He froze. Deity, you are a genius, he gasped, and flashed some on in an instant. I know, darling, I know. What color? He asked after a moment. How about a rich brown to offset your hair? Oh, yes, Apollo breathed and made the buttons a darker brown. Tight or loose shirt? I'm assuming you want the full length? I'm going to tuck it in, he agreed. Cute, she said. He assessed his image again. Wait, a turtleneck would look good, he considered. Absolutely, she said, With a jean jacket? No, wait, Apollo said. How about a tight turtleneck and a loose trench coat? Classy artistic vibes? Yes, don't forget the shiny gold necklace. Collar? No, Apollo said, having tried it on. A long, thin teardrop pendant? Actually, not a fan of that one either. Definitely a fine chain with a wider pendant, Aphrodite told him. Mantani or princess length? Mantani. Something minimalist and modern? Perfect, yes. And matching earrings. I don't like the turtleneck as white though. Some help? He tugged at the collar. Emerald, burgundy, white, cream, robin's egg, sage, jade, cadmium green, Apollo decided, and high-heeled boots. Darling, you are going to blow whoever it is you're trying to impress away. Hair? Apollo considered his reflection once more, admiring the confidence that he'd suddenly found when he was clad in armor of the perfect outfit. Sticks, he loved Aphrodite. She always managed to bring that out in him. Messy bun, he decided. A paintbrush instead of a fancy hairpiece. Simplistic, elegant, and artistic. You'll send me a picture for my next fashion line, right? He laughed. Of course, Deity. Thank you, yet again, for setting me straight and keeping me from embarrassing myself. Well, at least visually. He joked. I never thought I would hear the day straight was said in reference to you, she said wryly, making him snort. And of course, darling, you are my favorite canvas. You look fantastic in everything. Apollo smiled at his reflection and took a picture, sending it to her. Got it? He wondered if she would be able to see the warmth that had settled in his gut on her ever-present kindness. Gorgeous, she said triumphantly. Just as I thought. It's always nice to dress up my favorite Barbie doll without even being able to see the progress. Good luck, sweetheart. I've got a date with your brother, or I will stay to chat longer. Which one? Apollo smirked. Yeah, okay. Goodbye, Aphrodite said, and ended the call. If he were anybody else, he would be worried, but he could hear her amusement. He spent one last moment in front of his mirror, fussing with his outfit until he thought it was perfect. He sucked in a breath, keeping it low and deep like he was about to perform, and set his shoulder back. His eyes met his own. They were tired still, but at least he didn't look defeated. He had been going around with a bare face lately, because he honestly didn't care to spend that much time on his appearance lately with so many more important things to do, and he didn't feel compelled to do it as much as he used to, but he definitely needed it then. A dash of makeup to hide the exhaustion, and he was performance ready. You are Apollo, he told his reflection. Best known these days as Lester. You are making progress every day. You are better and can do better still. And your friends love you and support you. So go show the world the real you. He found he much preferred this mantra to the one he had pre-trials. This one felt more real and more of something being proud of. He flashed his reflection a million-watt smile, perfect pearly whites and all, and snapped fingerprints to go with it. He was as ready as he was going to be. Apollo snapped himself to his mother's most recent home. He took another deep breath and straightened his spine, lingering on the porch a few moments longer than he could easily explain. But can he be really blamed for it? He hadn't really talked to his mom about direct cause, and it was definitely over a century by that point. He really was an awful son. Sure, he'd never missed a Mother's Day, or her birthday, or any other important get-together, but he'd never visited her just to visit her. He was going to fix that. He was going to be a better son. This time, he'd be the son she deserved instead of the one she got. He knocked on the door and waited. "Oh, hello, sweetheart. No need to say anything," his mother said, and Apollo smiled at her a tad awkwardly, put off by the casual reaction. Leto looked like she was doing well. She wore a flowy white sundress and left her hair loose, a golden river towering down over her shoulders. She looked happy. She continued talking. "I'll buy whatever it is that you're selling. How much do you need, dear?" "Wait, what?" There was a pause, where she waited comfortably, and he stared at her, unable to process what she just said, what she meant. The pause stretched a little too long, while Paul registered he was supposed to be speaking. "Am I making you nervous, dear?" "Oh, come in. Let me fix you something to eat. Then you can tell me, Leto said gently. You don't recognize me? He stumbled over his words, all his confidence and perfect charm instantly lost, as he thought that his own mother didn't even recognize him. And then the sneaking thought crept in. Why would she? This was the form he had accepted as his these days, the most honest reflection of himself. When was the last time he was honest with his own mom? He couldn't remember. Which, as the god of knowledge and all, was saying something. Beyond that, he wasn't even the original Leto form, assuming she'd been able to bring herself to watch his trials. He couldn't decide if he hoped she had or hadn't. He knew she had been updated about them happening, but he had no idea how much she knew, or even what she saw when he'd accidentally projected himself, much less how long she'd seen him. His chosen form was a little older than Lester. He looked about 18 instead of 16, and his hair was shoulder length, an elegant peekaboo combination of his Lester hair and Apollo hair. Beyond that, why would Leto expect to find her son in gold glittering amber eyes so unlike anything he'd ever chosen for himself before? Too similar to Helios, too far from his twin, from his mother and father, too close to Hades, who was hated for the eyes that were so similar to Kronos, too. Lately, he had been presenting himself as a long-limbed, wily muscled, pretty frat boy version of his normal self. The boyish charm of Lester was far from anything Apollo would normally present himself as. So, why would she recognize him? He smothered the part that ached, instead smiled sadly at Leto, opening his arms slightly in an awkward, "It's me," throwing in a slight shrug just to pull it all together. "Hi, Mama. It's been a minute, hasn't it?" Leto stared at him. She was finally looking at him, and her eyes slowly got wider and wider as she lost her precious casual air. "My baby," "Baby, is that you?" she asked slowly, and she looked horrified. What had he done to deserve that? He was sure he'd done something. He definitely did, but he needed to find out what so he could defuse the situation, so he could... Suddenly, she was there, cupping his cheeks, and he didn't even know when she moved, but she had crossed the space so fast, and she was staring at him. "Baby, are you still human? I thought Zeus would let you go eventually, once you learn your lesson, but..." He blinked at her stupidly for a moment. It was dumb, but he kind of wanted her to stop touching him. He hadn't expected it, and he kind of felt like a bug under a microscope, and it was making his skin crawl, which was dumb, because he loved touch, and so of course he loved his mother's touch. And she was cradling his face. What was wrong with that? And yet, he still wanted to scream away, to push her away, to tell her he didn't want her to touch him. And that was something he needed to address later, wasn't it? How horrible of a son could he be that he was, what, uncomfortable at his own mother's touch? Even still, he placed his hands over his mom's for a moment before he pried them off, gently, of course. Mama, no. I reclaimed my godhood. It's okay. I'm okay. You don't need to worry," he said in one breath, holding her hands gently. "Don't tell me not to worry, baby, when you look like this. Did your father only give you a portion of the divinity back? Oh, baby, what happened?" She squeezed his hands. Once upon a time, those hands were rough with effort needed to keep food on the table for her and her 2 children. They hadn't been rough in a long time, though. These days, they are impossibly soft, in comparison to even his previous hands, which at least as musician and artist calluses. His lesser hands were covered in scars and calluses, and he could see the despair when she glanced down at where his hand still held hers, as she registered the roughness of his hands. No, Mama, I fully received my divinity. I have it all. I just like this form," he said with a smile. Now Leto looked disturbed, and she tugged her hands away. "You look like that? On purpose?" she said, aghast, and he tried not to read into the look she gave him. He hadn't been on the receiving end of one of those looks in a while, and it instantly made him wild. No, I don't like it. That's not my perfect baby boy. Fix it." He hesitated for a moment, stunned into silence. How did he tell her that he was her baby boy, perfection pending? How did he tell her that he liked this form, that it hurt him for her to ask him to change himself so she could find him more palatable to... He was being selfish again, wasn't he? Of course, Mama. Sorry, I just forgot in my excitement to come to see you," he told her, and let his features shift into a more traditional form, twisting his face so that the smile would look real, rather than reflecting how forced it felt right then. Apollo had mastered that long before the 2nd decade of his existence. Her face melted into the soft pride as his mother's, her face melted into soft pride as his more familiar face, and he felt a sort of relief that he'd not argued, delighting in that wonderful feeling of knowing that he was her baby boy, and ignoring all the sharper, cruel feelings that tried to dig its claws in while she cooed at him. "There you are, darling. Oh, come on, let me look at you." Apollo resisted the urge to fidget or turn away from his mom's gaze, which always seemed to see more than he did, a god of prophecy or not. She looked him over, pressing her lips at what appeared to be his clothing, of all things, and there went all the confidence he found in them just moments before. "I suppose this is the fashion these days?" She raised an eyebrow. He slipped his hands in the pockets of his coat. Yeah, it is," he said. "Fashion is pretty bold these days, but this is kind of a cute artist, you know?" Leto hummed. "I suppose, but it does hide your... I suppose, but it does hide your perfect figure, which is really a shame. I've always been quite proud of how beautiful my perfect son is." Some part of him felt hot and indignant, but he ignored it with the ease of long practice. "Not to worry, I just chose these clothes primarily for my own comfort. I assumed you wouldn't want me to stand at a ceremony or something, right?" Apollo laughed lightly. The less she knew about how much he stressed over this outfit just to end up with something that she didn't really approve of, the better. "Oh, of course, baby. I just want you to wear whatever you want when you come to visit me, so you'll be comfortable." She smiled warmly at him. "I want you to always be comfortable when you come to see me." He really did need to work on himself. He kept having the worst thoughts about his own mother, which wasn't really fair to her. I mean, what did it matter that she always had something to say about whatever it was that he chose to wear? That it always felt like she was never pleased. He was beginning to feel like Zeus with how critical he was being of his own mother for no reason. "Thanks, Mom," Apollo said quietly, giving her as genuine a smile as he could, and she seemed delighted by the response. "Oh, what am I doing? Come in, sweetheart. Sit down, get comfortable, take your coat off and shoes off. Why won't you stay a while?" Obediently, he slid off his shoes and placed them neatly by the door, putting his coat up while he was at it. "Once you're comfortable, you'll tell me about everything, won't you?" Leto asked, leaning against the end of the hall to turn back and look at him before she led him further into the house. "Of course, Mama," he promised, smiling at her. "I have so much to tell you. You won't hardly believe it." She gave him a winning smile, and he followed her into the living room. And that's it for the first part. This fic has 3 parts, so I'll record 2 more. Also, I'm so sorry that this video is so late. Let's just say that I've been very invested in art fights. And by the way, if you want to attack me, it's chillin' or art fights. I will link it in the description. But of course, no pressure. I had it recorded a week ago. Then I figured out I didn't have the thumbnail, in which I did the thumbnail today. And then I went to, that's great. I have the thumbnail. I did recording from a week ago. So that's great. Then just combine them and done. No, the how it just vanished. It was nowhere. Like, I don't have it on my computer. I'm sure it was there, but yeah, it's not there anymore. Well, that's it for today's video, and I hope you enjoy. And yeah, have a great day or night, and bye bye.